John Fredericks, America's Godzilla of Truth. He's popular and proficient in picking politics with prophetic precision. And now J. Fred's picking sports. Are y'all ready for this? All across the airwaves and streams of the John Fredericks Media Network, John, Jack, and Nate, three guys that are pretty wise when it comes to picking winners. Football, basketball, baseball, soccer, golf, UFC battles, you name it. When the game is on your mind and money's on the line, Godzilla Wins is your guide to picking winners. Before you make that play, hear what J. Fred has to say. Godzilla Wins on the John Fredericks Media Network.
Oh yeah, for entertainment purposes only.
Good morning and welcome to another episode of Godzilla Wins Saturday Pick Show. We're back with the small crew, the crew that we've come to love and enjoy. Jack Fredericks, editor extraordinaire of GodzillaWins.com. John Fredericks, owner, manager, magnate of the John Fredericks Media Network. What more do you need to say? And Mitch Rogers, contributor extraordinaire to GodzillaWins.com.
Go Steelers.
I want to be a magnate.
Well,
I like magnate.
I do too.
Careful what you wish for.
Is it magnate or magnet?
I don't know. I'm drawn to you for some reason. I don't get it.
I tell you, it only takes a couple of $1 million of 67-year-old debt, and then you're good to go. That's all you have to do.
That's my goal.
Every time things are going well, my wife and Jack's mom, stepmom, who reminds me of things are going well until you look at our balance sheet, of which we have more debt at your age than anybody in Pennsylvania. So yeah, it's all good.
All right.
I'm glad you're feeling optimistic this morning.
I want to get to the point where I can get that much debt. You have to accumulate a lot to be able to even get to that debt.
I'm proud of you. I got to get you on a phone call with Ann. That's good. That's good, right? It's all state of mind.
All right.
I could be Ann's assistant.
You'd be good. Yeah.
Well, something's got to pay the bills. Godzilla Wins is brought to you by getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Go there, look better, feel better. I got to know John's got it in his coffee right now, supporting healthy skin, hair, nails, making his joints feel better, a little bit better on the mobility front. We're all losing weight. We all have glowing skin now. Hair's starting to come back for some of us. Look better and feel better. Get started on your native path collagen journey. It's 45% off if you go to that getnativepath.com/Godzilla. 45% off, and you can get started on your collagen journey for as low as $21 a month. So go ahead and check that out if you haven't already. All right, we're going to be giving out some picks. First, we're going to be reacting to some incredible college football games. Then we're going to be talking about NFL for the whole rest of the thing. Gone are the days of us discussing clunkers. All we have now is just hot fire to talk about for football. Everything is meaningful now. Everything is important. Everything is going to get its time on this show. Before we do that, though, and before we give out all of our great picks, I want you to remember that this is for entertainment purposes only. And if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-426-2537. If you live in Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Michigan, Nebraska, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, or Wyoming, call 1-800-327-5050 or visit gamblinghelpline-ma.org if you're in Massachusetts. 877-GHOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY if you're in New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona, 1-800-522-4700 in Kansas or New Hampshire, 888-789-7777, or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut, 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa, or visit opgr.org if you're in Oregon. Welcome, everyone, to the show. All right, so the first thing that we have to talk about is Penn State and Notre Dame. I was a believer in Penn State. I think I'm still a believer in Penn State. I mean, it was just such a bizarre end of the game, and it was something that I think that not a lot of people saw coming. Aller has only thrown 2 picks the entire season, and then he gets down there in crunch time, and he's got less than a minute, and all he really has to do is just not turn it over. Anything else is pretty much acceptable, and he tries to throw it in the dirt, and then just directly into a defensive back's hands.
Why did he say he tried to throw it in the dirt?
I don't like. Is that where you throw it in the dirt across your body over the middle of the field, 20 yards down the field? Is that where you throw it in the dirt?
I think it's Jack's fault because on our group text he just put Notre Dame sucks, and then from that point on, it all turned the other way.
That was it. So, what were our initial reactions after watching the game? I mean, I have a few, but I've already given a little bit of my sort of anger and malaise. Jack, what did you take away from that game?
A lot of things, I think. First, I just want to. Whoa, my voice is kind of cracking. Got to wake up here.
It's deep. I like it.
Yeah.
I know.
Very white.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on. First, before we kind of start this, I just want to highlight the fires going on in Los Angeles. I got some friends who live in Los Angeles. I'm sure many of you do too. I hope everyone you know out there is safe, and that's been a really tragic situation to watch unfold. And we're not that far from Phoenix, so from LA, from Phoenix. So I just want to mention that first off. As far as the game goes, I mean, my initial thoughts are still the same that they were, which is that James Franklin is 1-15 against top 10 teams, top 5 teams, whatever it is. They can't get over the hump. Neither can Steve Sarkisian at Texas. That just seems to be the general kind of my general takeaway of both of these programs is that they're just not able to get to the final step to whatever. But yeah, I mean, it was a weird game. I did think Notre Dame kind of sucked. They didn't look so good. And
that was my thing. Yeah, they didn't look awesome. It was just Penn State just totally fell apart. I mean, it just.
You know what?
Yeah, I mean,
my initial reaction was it felt like a classic old school Blue Bloods game. Running, defense. It wasn't boring, even though they weren't scoring a lot of points. It was just a fun game. This week, the playoffs just really came through this week, and it was just a fun old school blue blood game, and that was my initial reaction. I mean, it was. It's the most likable Notre Dame team ever.
Yeah,
yeah. So Marcus Freeman has done such a rehab job on that team being likable. It's unbelievable. I mean. Talk about how much charisma do you need to have to make Notre Dame an enjoyable team? Marcus Freeman's charisma is just through the roof.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I've been saying that for a couple of weeks. Marcus Freeman's incredible. He's fun to watch, and that Notre Dame team has a great defense. They're fun to watch too. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that this game is necessarily an indictment on that Penn State team. They didn't really play anyone all year long. They had a pretty easy walk to get to this point. Notre Dame was, I guess, a little bit more battle tested just with the program aura of UGA. But at this moment, to me, it just seems like this is a Penn State team, as always, that just can't really move forward at a certain level. They just kind of get stuck. And if you're a Penn State fan, you have to be frustrated with the way that game ended at the end, as Nate said. And I know Nate was texting me during the game being like, Allaire's going to throw a pick. Like, I just know it. Like, this is just, he's forcing everything. He's wanting to throw a pick. Like, he's trying to throw a pick here. And this is what's going to happen. And I mean, they melted down 17 unanswered points by Notre Dame. This is a Penn State team that also is supposed to have a really incredible defense. It's a team that when Penn State is built to survive a 10-7 rock fight. Like, that's what James Franklin does. That's Penn State's identity. That's always been their identity. And, they're not able to do it here, and they lose on a last second field goal. So if you hate Penn State, it's, great. I know Dad's probably excited to watch them lose. But yeah, and Notre Dame's going to be a lot of fun to watch in the national championship. I don't know if they're going to get torched by Ohio State, maybe, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. But as a team, I'm glad that it's Marcus Freeman and not Brian Kelly. I mean, I'll just say that.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what stood out, and Penn State, absolutely, they were just bigger everywhere. I mean, you could tell that physically they should have won that game, and it does fall on Drew. I mean, all he had to do was, and that when they went up 10-0, it felt like it should have been 21-0. It was at the beginning of that game is where Penn State needed to win it, and not. I mean, I know I just said I like the running game, blue bloods, blah blah blah. They didn't throw to a wide receiver. Well, a wide receiver did not have one reception for Penn State. You're not going to win in a game if you don't even throw one pass to your wide receiver. I know the tight end is amazing, but yeah, it's an indictment on James Franklin and Penn State. Like you said, 1-15 against top 5 opponents. That's ridiculous in this day and age, because the top 5 it's not like the same as it was back in the day. So you have to be able to beat a Michigan, beat an Ohio State. You have to be able to go in the playoffs and win a game when you were definitely the better team. So this is an absolute indictment on him. And yeah, I'm not a Penn State fan. I love watching him squirm, and it sucks. His only good win was against an undefeated West Virginia team in week 1. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
He doesn't win the big games. I bet Penn State. That was my best bet of the 4. I knew Texas was going to play better than a lot of people thought. I just could feel it. So I didn't like laying the 6.5, but I'm getting 1.5 points. I got a bigger, faster, stronger team, period. I'll take that all day long. They went up 10-0, but I'm with, I think Mitch or Jack said this. I wasn't feeling good about this game at 10-0 because it should have been 21-0. Those of us that follow football, when you miss opportunities like that, you lose. No different than baseball, right? I mean, you got a 3-0 lead, but 3 innings, you had guys, first and second, no one out, bases loaded, nobody out. Second and third, nobody out. You don't score. You got a 2-0 lead in the 6th inning. You're going to lose that game. I mean, it happens every single time. So I was very disappointed that the better team didn't win. However, listen, I mean, I'm Catholic, and Ann said to me, this is what happens when you want to go against Notre Dame and you're Catholic. God's going to ping your DraftKings account $200. I mean, smarten up.
It's true.
I mean, she's got an argument. I should have paid attention to her. She bet against me, and she's like, I'm not betting against the Catholic Church. Something will happen, and that's what happened. But that thing, I was trying to throw it in the dirt. Well, throw the ball in the dirt. I mean, throw the ball in the dirt. Why are you throwing it not in the dirt and so you're throwing it in the dirt?
Who was the color analyst? Who was the color analyst that said
Rick McElroy, I think.
Yeah, it was the dumbest analysis I've ever heard. There was 29 seconds left, and he said if they break out, they better kneel at the 1 and don't get the touchdown. I'm like, what are you talking about? There'd be 27 seconds left. You'd be winning by 7 points. Everybody went on Twitter. Everybody was bashing it, and it was edge on your seat game though. It was such an exciting game after all these clunkers, and so that's what I was excited about. And last night's, we'll get to that also. I mean, the 2 games, but you're right. 10-0 should have been 21, and that's where they lost the game.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I kept thinking about that, where it's like we all clamored for this 12-team playoff, and then it never really gets good until we get to the 14 playoff that we just replaced because we won the 14 playoff, right? And
That's a great summation, Nate.
but we wouldn't have had these 4 teams in the playoffs. So it may have
right.
looked a little bit differently. Maybe it just takes a while for us to get to this point, but I mean, they're going to expand it at some point to 16. Shout out to the Catholic Church angle. That's not one I've been hearing on ESPN or anything. So that's the type of original analysis.
Once I got confirmed, my parents gave me a TV, and then I never went back to church. So
that type of analysis fell out of favor after the Reformation. So
that would. That's true. Shout out to Catholic movies. I just saw Conclave last weekend. Terrific movie. And we rewatched Doubt, the 2008 movie with Meryl Streep, Philip Seymour Hoffman, and Amy Adams, like last night for some reason. I guess we're on the Catholic Church movie. Yeah. So shout out to Catholic Church movies. Both of those movies are great.
Conclave is a movie. It doesn't matter where you are or what you've done. This is a must. There's every year, like one must-see movie. That is a must-see movie. It was just, first of all, it's a true story, and it's gripping. And what this young lady did is just incredible. And it just, I have this saying that I've had in both politics and the company, which is one man with courage makes a majority. I mean, you got to just believe in what you're doing, and then people will follow. And she is Cabrini. Well, now I'm going to get to Cabrini, which I thought was also fabulous, but it all kind of ties in. But Conclave was just phenomenal, and the way they ended it was just it was one of the best movies made.
I'll take The Exorcist.
Yeah, it was awesome.
The Exorcist was the best Catholic movie ever.
That's a good one too.
That's in the top 5.
I mean, come on. And you look. Oh, John, you're in DC now. Yeah, The Exorcist steps are very fun to go visit, and it's just hilarious that there's like at the bottom of the steps is just a gas station, and then you walk up to the top. It's all about how they frame the shot.
All right, let's move to the next game. Ohio State took on Texas yesterday. It was, I don't know. It always felt like Texas was probably not going to win, I guess, like to my eyes. But Ohio State did enough, I mean, Texas's defense played as good as they possibly could. I felt like Texas just couldn't really get that much going on the ground. Quinn Ewers couldn't be quite heroic enough with his arm. A lot of incomplete passes, a lot of sacks. What were the takeaways? I mean, is Ohio State just a world beater? I mean, are they just going to walk in and just drub Notre Dame too, or was this sort of just
better play calling? Look, everybody thought this was going to be a blowout. I didn't like the game. I didn't like laying 6.5 in a game like this, and I thought Texas would play better, and they did, and their defense stepped up. I mean, when you take away the 99-yard rumble or whatever the guy did at the end, the senior did at the end. I mean, they held Ohio State in 4 quarters to 2 touchdowns. I mean, their defense played extraordinarily well, and right there they were, I'm sorry, 3 touchdowns, and right there they were going in for the tying touchdown. They had 1st and goal on the 1. Why you're doing a pitch to the outside? Why you're not just doing 4 quarterback sneaks, getting another defensive lineman in there, getting over the top, jumping over, tying this game and forcing overtime, because that's what they would have done, is beyond me. I didn't like any Scarcasian's calls at the end, especially the pitch out. I mean, you could see as soon as that play unfolded, this guy was going to be down 5 or 6. I mean, it was never going to happen. They were too fast out there. And I understand they got the meat up front, but this is the Texas Longhorns. You got meat too. Put a defensive back and a defensive lineman in there. You needed a half a yard after the first play, and this thing's going to overtime. So I didn't get the play calling, but Texas really had a great opportunity to win this game.
Yeah, that was that's exactly what I thought too. I mean, when you saw Ohio State go down and score right away, and then Texas defense really manned up and really played well for the next couple quarters. And then, you get the penalty, you're at the 1 yard line. There's no reason to throw. There's no reason to even run a play that can go negative. There's just zero reason to do that unless you saw something that was ironclad that you saw on film and not saw on tape. But terrible call. I'm sure that he's going to be looking back at that series of play calls, for a long time, because they had a real shot to upset Ohio State. And I didn't like that spread at all. I know everybody was really heavy on Ohio State, but Yeah, I didn't touch the game. I put it all on Notre Dame and got it on Notre Dame. So I just didn't feel. I knew it was going to be something like this, but when you wake up and it looks like 2 touchdowns, it just doesn't do the game justice. So for those of you that did not watch it, go watch some highlight reels. Because it really was a great game and way closer than the score showed at the end.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, it was another game of just like so many big like momentum shifts, right? I mean, it was like Texas goes down at the end of at the first half, and they score, and then there's like 30 seconds left, and then it looks like Ohio State's just going to try and just kind of fool around with something, and then they fool around and throw a 75-yard screen pass to Travion Henderson, and then it's just like, okay, well, here we go again. Like, it was just. After keeping Ohio State basically neutered after that first drive, it was like then the last drive of that first half, you just give up a giant play. That was tough, and I mean, yeah, and this speaks to. I mean, you can in NFL, and I feel like this is like a real thing. I don't feel like I'm imagining this, but like in the NFL, you don't very often see teams just like get tight. Like, and you don't see them just start to just make like just weird, like chaotic mistakes. And in college football, I feel like we saw it with Penn State a little bit. We saw it with Texas against Arizona State. And then we saw it again against Ohio State, where they just start doing weird stuff. They have all the talent, the play calling's okay. And then the players just sort of just go haywire. Like, and they just, it just falls apart. I mean, I'm thinking about the Penn State play. Towards the end of the game when Notre Dame scored, like I think it was the last touchdown, and the defensive back just fell like straight on his back, like a cartoon. Like both of his ankles were just like looked like they were tied together, and he just fell back in like a plank. And it was like, all right, like that's not normal, and that's just guys, just the moment's just gigantic, and your body just didn't cooperate with you.
Yeah, hey, Nil can throw all the money in the world at these kids, but they're kids. They're still 20 years old, 21 years old. And I don't care who you are. I don't care how many millions of fans you played in throughout the season. That moment is huge. When you're going for a national title, the entire world is watching you. It's a Friday night or Saturday night.
Right.
That moment. Yeah. And you're 20, I don't care what you've prepared for. That moment can get anyone, especially when you're young.
Well, it was, one of the comments that my wife and Ann and I were making after the game yesterday is why the country loves college football. Because what you guys just said on the 20, 21-year-olds, then flip it over. Because what you got yesterday was the kids were so excited. The Ohio State kids were so excited. They were jumping up and down. And then, of course, the relationship between the former Ohio State quarterback and the Texas quarterback and the guy that sacked him. I think they were roommates.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just, and he said, screw you. I mean, it was just, he did it with a smile. Just the enthusiasm of these players because they're 20 and 21 and they're not 27 and they're not bajillionaires. I mean, they're trying to get drafted or trying to, make a life for themselves or figure things out. But it's that level of enthusiasm that that those kids bring that makes it so much different. And, being a college baseball fan, you really get the same thing there. I mean, you get the same thing in college baseball. I mean, somebody hits a home run and everybody gets excited. It's just a lot of fun. And it is why, like college football is just in this country, it is so big. And I think part of it is no matter what, like Mitch said, no matter what the NIL money is, no matter how much they're getting paid, there's still kids having fun. And that's what you saw at the end of that game last night.
Yeah, college is it's straight fanaticism. Like Ryan Day might win a national title, but people will still hate him because he didn't beat Michigan. Like, I mean, it's just crazy. College football's nuts. I hope, you know what? Yeah. If Ryan Day wins, I hope he quits. I hope he just goes somewhere else.
It's the most irrational of the sports. Like of the ones that the two that I think are the most illogical right now are college football and college women's basketball, where just like stuff happens that you're just like, what is going on? Like I think the most logical sport, honestly, is basketball. I think it's one of the reasons people don't watch it as much anymore, because it's so logical in the way that teams prepare for games, the way that they rest their stars, the way that they use the 3-point line now to their advantage. And college football is like, it's just illogical. Nothing that has happened in the past ever happens in the future. There's like no way to predict any of this stuff when these kids, because their brain like just isn't developed. Some of them are bajillionaires. Carson Beck signed a $4 million NIL deal at Miami.
More than he
Carson
would have got
Beck-
in the NFL. Yeah, more than he would have won at year one of the NFL.
Will Levis starting for the Titans this year, base salary $950K, and you know he didn't hit any of his bonuses in his contract. So that's what he made.
I can't believe you brought up the Titans already.
Biggest waste,
I know.
$950,000. Amy Adams struck his.
Yeah, they had to pay somebody, but Carson Beck $4 million NIL. So some of them are rich, but they're kids, like they're just young. They haven't been in these positions before, and they do tighten up. And you saw Texas tighten up at ASU. I mean, like the ASU game, they were so tight. Bert Auburn misses 2 field goals. That never happens. Another example of something weird happening. And then, I take Dad's point. I think they probably should have tried to just run it up the middle. I know Herb Street kept saying that Ohio State was dominating the offensive line, but you're 1 yard away. There's no reason to be
jump over.
Like unless you're Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin, like there's no reason to extend the field side to side in a moment like that, because you didn't. That play was not exactly like, it wasn't like a crazy play. And then yours is with the strip sack. So the 28-14 score really means nothing. I mean, that game was so close to OT, and I'm so upset we didn't get it, because that would have been awesome. Probably would have got to 2-3 OTs. They'd be like, what? That would have been the 3rd game in a row Texas was in overtime.
I know,
Georgia,
right?
Arizona State. Well, I guess they blew out Clemson, but 3 out of 4 games they would have gone to overtime. So Texas has been giving us some pretty fun games. They're at the losing end of almost all of them, but they keep giving us pretty fun games, But yeah, Texas was very tight, and we see, Ohio State, when they played Michigan, very tight, same type of thing. That's an important thing to keep in mind, and we'll continue to talk about this as we get to the national championship. Which one of these teams is having more fun? Is it Notre Dame? Is it Ohio State? Which one is playing looser? Which one has less, expectations on them? Which coach can get their team to have the right mindset for the 4 quarters? And, a couple weeks ago, I would have told you Marcus Freeman, absolutely. He speaks to his players in a way that is very inspiring. He keeps everybody on a level head. Notre Dame hasn't lost since September, but Ohio State looks so good these days. I mean, since the Michigan loss, they've looked amazing. And they looked pretty dominant yesterday too. I know the score was closer than, like, the game was closer than the score said, but they've looked dominant now for the last couple weeks, and maybe they just blow out Notre Dame. I don't know, but I'm kind of pulling for Notre Dame a little bit, mostly because I just love Marcus Freeman.
It's weird.
What happened is after the Michigan game was very simple. I can tell you exactly what happened. Ryan Day was tuned into one of our shows. He heard about Healthy Cell. He ordered for all the players,
100%.
REM sleep, bio, everything, focus. He just ordered boxes and boxes of Healthy Cell for his team. He shipped them to Columbus, and voila, in 2 weeks, they turned the whole thing around. You can do that too. I'm a big Healthy Cell. Look, I take a lot of supplements, collagen and Healthy Cell, right? That's why I look, Greg, I'm going to be 67. I got a spring in my step. I've lost 40 pounds, right? Because I'm feeling good. I'm moving around. Here's all you have to do. Healthy Cell, the REM sleep. I take it every night. So does Ann. So does Joe. So does Jack. So does Claire. Everybody in my family takes it. We all get a great we get a great night's sleep. And the sleep is how you replenish your body. I tell you right now, West Virginia baseball team, they have them make them wear these Aurora rings. I don't know if you've heard of these. This is like the new technology, Nate. I got my wedding band down, but some kind of a ring. And the one thing it measures is sleep. That is their number one thing. Yet they demand so many hours of sleep a day, because West Virginia Athletics realizes that that's when your body reconstructs. That's when you regenerate your energy. And so sleep is critical. And the best way to do that is by getting your REM sleep. You take that thing. It's a gel. 15 minutes before you go to bed, you're going to go out immediately. It's not habit forming. It's not that expensive. And you're going to sleep like a baby. You're going to dream, and you're going to get up. You're going to jump out of bed. All you got to do is go to healthycell.com, healthycell.com/Godzilla, healthycell.com/Godzilla. Promo code Godzilla. You're going to get 20% off. They've also got the bio vitamins that I take. If you get a little bit older, they have the focus there. They have joint health and mobility. But start with the REM sleep, get that. And then if you want to get some of the others like I do, that's a good thing. But you got to start by getting a great night's sleep.
Getting all fancy with the graphics. Roanoke is seeing the works today.
Well, we've got Michael Coleman there in the captain's chair. This is what we do on a regular show. Hey, speaking of graphics, guys, I just tossed this out there. Again, healthycell.com/Godzilla, promo code Godzilla, 20% off. In about a month from today, we're going to be on Smart TV. We're going to have our own Roku channel, Apple TV channel, and Fire Stick channel. So if you have a smart TV at 9 a.m., certainly at 6 during my show, but at 9 a.m. on Saturday, and when we replay it on Sunday, if you have a smart TV, you just got to launch Roku or Apple TV or Fire Stick, put in Godzilla Wins. Our show is going to come up live across the country right here on your home TV screen. Cool.
All right. So now that we've discussed the games that got us to this point, it's only fair that we start to discuss, and obviously we'll get in with more picks next week before the game, because the game isn't going to be until the 20th. But it's worth thinking about now, and we're sort of pondering a little bit, I suppose. Ohio State and Notre Dame national championship final betting lines are up. OSU is a giant favorite, 9.5-point favorite over Notre Dame, which just feels disrespectful.
Mm-hmm.
Totals 46.5. That's very modest. I guess my initial, so the square in me wants to just be like, Notre Dame will not lose by more than 9.5 points. And then the second level of my betting thinking goes, I'm an idiot, so I should just take Ohio State. And just like, this feels like too many points, which means it's probably not enough. I guess I kind of like Ohio State here, just to beat the brakes off Notre Dame, just because I feel like my Notre Dame handicap hasn't changed. Notre Dame has done so little offensively to impress me. Riley Leonard does just enough to kind of keep them around, but I just don't know if he can win on his own, and I don't know if he can win against all of these elite playmakers that Ohio State has, where he's going to have to score points.
Well, but the thing is, like you said, Nate, they keep winning. I mean, they just somehow they manage to win these games. How many games have we had? Right, we started with 12 teams. What have we had? 8, 10 games. Do you know that one underdog has covered? If you put the favorite in every game against the spread, you got one loss, and that was Arizona State, which I had in that game. But I had a lot of underdogs here. You know, the Clemson game we almost covered, but woulda, shoulda, coulda, the money goes sailing out of your DraftKings account, so that doesn't matter. But every single favorite is one, and so you just look at this and you say, okay, is it a trend, or normally, when you're playing athletics, things even out? Say, is it somewhere along the line here? Some dogs got to cover, right? Maybe it's going to be the final game. But to me, in a game like this, 9.5 is just it's a crazy line. I mean, I thought 6.5 against Texas was too many. It's a crazy game. It's a crazy line. I'm going to take the 9.5. This is the other thing. If you're betting Ohio State, and I've said this, in a big game like this, and you're betting for enjoyment, okay, you're laying the 9.5. If Notre Dame gets a touchdown and they get up 7-0, now you're like, gee, I need 3 touchdowns without them scoring to win this game. It just makes it's a tougher watch. And I think 9.5. Notre Dame keeps winning. I don't know how they keep winning, but they keep winning. They keep, like Nate said, they manage to stay in these games. I'm going to take the 9.5. No question.
It does feel like Ohio State should be able to bottle up Riley Leonard, but we say that every week, and maybe they just need him to go out for a couple minutes, bring in the backup, spark the offense again.
The backup, Kelly was great.
He was. I mean, I wonder if they look to some of what he did and try to incorporate that in the next game, with some traditional pocket passing perhaps. But it's hard to count Notre Dame out. And 9.5 is a lot. I understand the spread. I really do. And I think it'll probably go the other way, just because so much money will come on Notre Dame just because of that spread. So I think it'll probably get down to 8 8.5, something like that. But it's hard to go against Ohio State because I feel like they've had their clunker. They've had that Michigan game was the worst that they could have possibly played. And all Ryan Day has to say is just don't do that. Literally, we've done this. Whatever we did there, whatever nerves you had that night, it's gone. Let's get that out of the way. And so I feel like Ohio State's on a mission. And right now, my initial bets would go on Ohio State right now. But that rosary's looking at me, so I don't know. We'll see. We'll figure it out.
I shouldn't be giving anyone advice. I'm like 1-9 in this college football playoff.
So am I.
Perfect. You're a fade. We fade you.
Fade me, man.
You're due, man. That's it.
I can't get a total right. I can't get a spread right. And part of it is because I'm like, I want all these underdogs to win. I don't know why. I mean, I don't care. I cared about Arizona State. That was it. So, I'm just like always hammering these underdogs being like, this will be awesome if, one of these teams that is not Texas or not Ohio State or whatever can win a game. And so, it's been pretty difficult for me. So I don't know if anyone should be taking any betting advice from me. Just fade me. But if I had to make a pick right now, I'd probably say Ohio State, right? Like the trends say the favorites are going to win. They covered by 14 with the fluke at the end there. On paper, they're such a better team. I mean, they're so much better. They're better than everybody. I mean, that's the whole Ohio State thing this year. They should not have ever lost a game. $20 million NIL payroll, just weapons all over the field, good offensive line, and like a pretty good in-game coach. He just can't beat Michigan. Like he beats everybody else. It's not like he's trash, or some sort of smoke and mirrors. Like Ryan Day wins all the time. He just couldn't beat Harbaugh, and now he's got this like mental issue with Ann Arbor and Michigan. And we'll see what happens next year, as it feels like Michigan maybe is trending a little bit more
so what's your
upward
pick?
As well.
I
just said it. I mean, I'd probably take note. I'd probably take Ohio State, but also like I think the line will kind of get hammered down. So like if I'm on the Ohio State side, maybe I wait until it drops to like 7.5 or 8. But then again, a lot of stupid money comes in on these games because like there's a lot of dumb rich Ohio State fans and a lot of dumb rich Notre Dame fans who don't care what the line is. They're just going to throw millions of dollars on their team. So it's hard to know exactly what that line will do. I like the under. I mean, I played the under in the Penn State game, Penn State Notre Dame, and I felt like that was the right move, even though it busted. I mean, it didn't. Obviously the over was the better play because it won, but just philosophically, I mean, it was 10-10 in the fourth quarter. Like things fell apart for both teams. Like I was looking at that being like, this is my greatest pick in weeks. Like this isn't going to hit. Like neither of these teams score, then the defenses fall apart. So, I think the under is probably a good play here. Notre Dame does have an incredible defense, and Ohio State's okay winning a game 13-7. Like they do that all the time. So just from those from that perspective, I like both of those plays. Probably we can talk about some prop stuff because we have another week, so we can talk about some more betting stuff later.
I just put my wager in. I took the 9.5 right now because I was afraid, based on what you said, it was going to go down. I just think that's too many. This is a championship game. I mean, these games are now blowouts, and Notre Dame.
Sometimes they are, though.
I know, but Notre Dame keeps winning. I mean, that's the thing and at some point, an underdog has got to win, right? They eventually they have to win. By the way, speaking about fading, me and Jack, if the name has Fredericks by it on daily picks, just fade our football.
Yeah,
you're guaranteed to be successful. Bad. But I got to tell you the other thing, guys. I'm that baseball and hockey analyst on Godzilla Wins. I had a great baseball season. Hockey, I'm just going to say I am on fire. I'm up almost $20,000 with the plays I've put in. I won 4 in a row over the last 2 days. 1-1 last night. Seldom do I go 0-3. I got a tremendous record there. So look, what you want to do, you want to go to GodzillaWins.com. Daily picks every day. I get my picks up there. Sometime in the afternoon we tweet it out on Godzilla Wins on my X, or we X it out, or whatever it is. You can see it there. But I'm on fire in hockey. Had another win on the road last night. LA Kings, who have won 5 in a row. Jack said earlier, he said the thing about college football is there's no trends. I mean, you just it's all chaotic. Think about NHL. Hockey is like baseball. I bet trends. And LA's winning. Winnipeg's losing. LA goes to Winnipeg. You bet the hot hand. They win that game easy last night. So go to GodzillaWins.com and go to daily picks every day. You're going to get my NHL picks up there. If I make a football pick, fade it, guaranteed win.
Who's your favorite NHL team, John?
Penguins.
Yeah, playing good. They're playing well. They're playing
well.
well.
They lost 3 straight games in overtime, 2 in a shootout. But then they won their second game at home. They're a different team at home. I bet them at home. I fade them on the road. They're older. They're slower. And the biggest problem with the Pens is when they play a younger, faster team.
Sure.
Like their biggest nightmare is like the Salt Lake City club. All kids, all 23 years old, all fast, all better. They simply can't keep up and they wear down. So matchups like that, matchups against Winnipeg, very big, very, very strong. Colorado, tough for the Penguins. But at home, they can beat anybody. It's a different team at home. Go figure. Same thing with Washington. Washington's at home. It's an automatic win. They go on the road. Who the hell knows? Go figure.
All right.
I don't know if this is just a product of you living in Pittsburgh and being like a place-based populist, or if it's the fact that you love to gamble so much that you just, whatever sports you're winning, you just start obsessing over that sport. But I certainly have appreciated the explosion in hockey interest over the last 2 years. You're 143 and 102 and 1 in hockey on daily picks, which is like, we can't manipulate those. So that's like, you can go back and look at all those picks. That's kind of funny that
he's bringing up the Salt Lake team. Good. He's talking Salt Lake hockey. This is the best.
I never followed hockey. I never played it.
Oh, look at this.
Played it. I played baseball. I never played hockey. I never followed it. We got to Pittsburgh and we carried the Penguins. I decided let's carry the Penguins. So they gave us a bunch of tickets. So Ann and I started to go and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the sport. I really studied it. I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the Penguins. You can't go to PPG Arena on a Saturday night and not fall in love with that team. I mean, it is electric there.
Right. I'll get my picks going. I'm sorry, guys.
We have fun.
I gotta call Scott. My link is not working for my daily pick, so he's right down the road from me. So I'll get that working today. I'll start picking today.
Yeah. But I mean, look, you love a long season. Like you just love a sport that's just got a long season.
Exactly. I love it. Like baseball. It goes on forever.
Yeah.
That's how you get trends, right? There are no trends in football. There are in the NFL, there are no trends. What the hell's a trend? One Sunday, any given Sunday, who the hell knows what's going to happen?
Mike Tomlin unders, man. Come on.
Yeah.
Even that feels a little thin these days.
A little thin, yeah.
But I certainly appreciate the explosion in hockey interest over the last couple years. I had no idea you were studying hockey every night like this. Which means, Dad, what you need to be doing is you need to be going to Rosie's Gaming Emporium and figuring out how to take some of that winning and triple it. Tell people how you can get involved in Rosie's.
Well, Rosie's is so cool. We're going to be in DC, and of course, they're new Rosie's in Dumfries. They got a hotel. Ann loves Rosie's. We love going there. We have so much fun. Upstairs, you can do the horses, the football, the basketball, hockey. Everything is upstairs on the second floor. But they have all the simulcasting. But their slot machines are phenomenal. We have so much fun there. The food is excellent. It's just a great place. Rosie's is so much fun because there's no smoking. The food is fantastic. They have windows. It's not like a dark casino where they're pumping in oxygen. It's kind of a whole new concept there. And the other thing is you get the biggest jackpots and the biggest payouts, and that's because it has the smallest state takeout of any casino in the country, right? Mandated by the Virginia General Assembly. They have the smallest takeout, which means more money goes back to the players. Plus, they have bonuses and all that thing. If you sign up, you get spin the wheel. You can get up to a couple $100 in free bets when you sign up for the card. And they're all over Virginia, Dumfries, Northern Virginia. They're in Southside by Danville and in Collinswood. They're in Emporia, Hampton, right by Hampton Roads, Richmond, right by our studio. Of course, the track, Colonial Downs, will have our suite there. Vinton, right out of Roanoke. So they're anywhere there. Just go to rosiesgaming.com, have fun, win money. By the way, a founding sponsor of Godzilla Wins, rosiesgaming.com. Nate Mize, thank you for what you've done. You have developed a brilliant concept. Go to rosiesgaming.com.
Well, at least it gets all the people out of my local 7-Elevens playing those games.
Thank you.
I mean, it's July 1st last year they got deregulated, so they weren't allowed to do that anymore. So
good.
At least
no more gas station slots.
They're all crazies now.
But we do have, I know, Nate, we got to move on. We do have a new partnership between Delta Airlines and DraftKings, which I don't know what the federal laws are when it comes to airspace gambling. I don't think you can, as of right now, fire off
is it like a riverboat
bet against the a spread.
Yeah, once you're in the air,
you're in the air. You can do whatever you want. Just go nuts.
But yeah, I don't think that's true, but I wish it was. But it's kind of funny. I guess they'll have it in the built into the seat. But
they do like an Ozark style show, but on it with an airplane.
Yeah. Even those were the only 3 hours. And every time I took a flight, that was the only 3 hours I wasn't on DraftKings. So that was the only time I could clean up a little bit. And
only time you can rest.
Yeah, and now they're going to be inundating me with. I can't afford to fly Delta anyway. So, but if I could, I'd be crushing DraftKings.
If
you can afford to fly Delta, you can afford to.
If they're a sponsor, they can give us some tickets, right? Come on,
Yeah,
give us some points, some frequent flyers.
Give us something. But I don't really know. I'm with Jack. I don't really know what the purpose of the alignment is, because when you're in the air, they don't know where you are, so you can't place a wager. So I really don't get. And if you're flying to a location where they don't have it, I don't really get that either.
VPN, baby.
So it doesn't make, to me, I'm like, that's kind of the weirdest. What they should be doing is back sponsoring us, right? That's what they should be doing.
Nice.
Yeah, you need to start working just when they put the headphones on. It's just your content just rolling through. I'm excited when I turn on my Samsung that you're just going to be on. I'm going to turn Dawson's Creek off and just be like, bam.
It's going to look.
Godzilla wins. Let's go.
The whole streaming thing. I mean, I'm not going to tell you that our little company is cutting edge, but we're not falling behind. Let me put it that way. We've been ahead of the curve in our app. We've been ahead of the curve in a lot of different things earlier in radio. And just to give you the technology, guys, I just gave you this quick story. We went early on. We went with this system, a remote system called Comrex, COMREX. Right? If you're not in the radio business, you have no idea what it is. But it's a system that gives you, in studio microphone quality from a remote location via the internet. And we were the first one to buy that. Like when I used to go to CPAC or something, I was the only one that had it. All my friends would want to borrow it and they'd want to reserve it. And can we borrow yours? Now, that was 12 years ago, 10 years ago. Now everybody's got it. We don't have it anymore. I've got 4 of them sitting on a shelf because now we've gone to this streaming platform, and now we're going to smart TV. And except for our callers who call in the number 888-480-JOHN, everybody now that comes on my radio show comes on via video stream. So we get a 3-box like we have here. And the inspiration for that was Michael Coleman, who's running our show now, and Godzilla Wins. And so rarely now do we have, the only time we have somebody call in, if it's Mark Warner or somebody's in a car and he's on a mobile center from Virginia or something like that. Otherwise, everybody else is on a mobile video stream. So the business has really evolved. Once we get this smart TV thing going, that's going to be fun.
Yeah, shout out to Mark Warner. I got to meet him at an AM radio station I worked at, and the ceilings were only 6 feet high, and he had to duck the entire way to get to the studio because he returned the favor because he did a a radio interview when he was young and up and coming. So he came back to the studio, and I was just working as a intern there, and he just couldn't even
big
fit
guy.
in the studio. Yeah, he's a very nice man.
Yeah,
He's very nice. Yeah.
You are so excited that Mark Warner has decided to come back on your show. You have mentioned it on this show and to me privately like 14 times over the last 3 or 4 weeks. You've been like, we got Mark Warner back on the John Frederick show.
Very
things
excited.
are going great for us. So, so shout out to the Democratic senator from Virginia who Dad thinks is the cream of the crop on his radio show. He is great.
He's the first Democrat I ever voted for. I swear to
Same
God.
here.
I swear to God.
We got same here. I voted for him. I voted
in
for him in 2014 over Ed Gillespie in Virginia because I just didn't think Ed stood for anything, and so I like Warner. I also voted for Terry McAuliffe, who I thought was an extraordinary governor. I wouldn't vote for Ken Cuccinelli if he was a final candidate in the history of the earth. So I couldn't stand him. He's a backstabbing cockroach, and we've all proved that out. But I've also got Democratic Congressman Bobby Scott from Virginia coming on my show Wednesday. So Trump won. Now all the Democrats are comfortable coming back on my show. It's kind of fun now because look, they've all got to work with the Trump administration. They know they tune me. Their guys tune me in. So now they want to get back on my show. I was banned for such a long time. Now they're coming back.
Look at
John's
you.
out of the wilderness and it's going great.
So when do you move to DC? Is that already
Well, we're
happened?
just setting up there. We got there last weekend. I come home on the weekends. Obviously, the majority.
You're gonna have a Caps jersey. You're gonna have a Wizard stuff on next week.
No,
you're not gonna be anything Pittsburgh anymore. You're gonna.
I'm a Penguins fan. I told my friend Ben
right.
Tribbett, take me to a Caps game when they're playing the Penguins. I'm gonna put my Pens garb. But we're 2 blocks from the White House. Now we don't have all the we're piecemealing the furniture together, so it's kind of bare. But we're 2 blocks from the White House. Set up my studio there where I go back on Tuesday afternoon. So then, of course, we'll be there for the inauguration and all that. The ceremony is the balls of what
I can help with some of that IKEA furniture. Just let me know. I'm like just 40 minutes away. Come
all right,
build some furniture.
Let's try.
I would have to put, wouldn't I have to?
Back.
Isn't that stuff you have to put together?
You need low impact drill. Just get a low impact. Don't do it with your hand. Don't do it by hand.
I don't own a toolbox. I can't hang a picture. You kidding me?
Yeah, no.
Jack knows.
You could barely handle the Comrex. That's why you're back on. That's why you're on the restream. Let's talk a little NFL after 10 minutes of detour to I don't know where we were.
Yeah, I don't know. We went from
fun.
hockey to the resurgence of John's media career alongside the liberals of Virginia.
All sorts of graphics.
We've
popping
come
up
a
on the
long
screen.
way. It's been a long, winding road in the last 12 minutes. We've also given a lot of insider tips on anyone trying to get into radio. Just get the Restream app, and
we used to need a
all the
T1
expensive
line.
equipment you used to need. All right, so hot tips for anyone there. Start your Roku channel too. Okay,
Gilmore Girls.
the playoffs are set. The odds are posted. The matchups we have. And the most pressing question is obviously, who do we think is going to play in the Super Bowl? Who do we think is going to win the Super Bowl? I have my own I've spent far too much, like an unhealthy amount of time thinking about it. I was sick all week. Today is like the first day I've really felt myself just in time to do this radio show. So I've had a lot of time to just think about football on my couch while watching TV.
Just pondering football.
What I've thought is that I like the Ravens for the Super Bowl. I think the Ravens win the Super Bowl. I think Lamar Jackson finally gets all this playoff junk off of his back. I look at the 2 teams ahead of them in the odds, the Lions, too many injuries, Chiefs just too inconsistent. Just like offensively, and like I just don't feel like they're like the team. And then I look at the Ravens and I think like that's a real team. Like Ravens and Bills are like real teams, and I think I'd rather lean Ravens at this point. They just look more comfortable. Out of the NFC, wide open. I think probably the Eagles, provided Jalen Hurts gets healthy. But that's a big if. But my sort of initial prediction for this show is Ravens, Eagles, Ravens win. What's everyone else thinking in terms of just bold predictions to start it off that are 100% sure to be wrong in a few weeks?
Well, I think it's going to be Lions Bills. The problem with beating the Lions right now is you have to go through Detroit. So that win they had against Minnesota was so huge because they're so tough at home in that dome. And they just got to win 2 games to get there. They're going to play 2 good teams, but they've beaten them all. They're tough at home. And Jared Goff, the confidence that this team has had. Now, they've had a lot of injuries. I think the week off the bye really, really helped them. So I like the Lions there. And Buffalo's surging right now. We don't know how good they are. This is one of the issues. We always know their defense was suspect, but Josh Allen, it just looks like he's having one of these MVP seasons. And they've also got tremendous home field advantage here. So, you have to go through Buffalo, especially in this first game here with Denver. They're relatively healthy. So, and the thing is, Buffalo's never out of a game. They could be down by 3 touchdowns, and all of a sudden it's tied. So I like the Bills here.
I love the okay. I like the Bills too, just because I don't necessarily trust Lamar and Baltimore in the playoffs. They have never shown me that they've been in this spot 100 times and they don't ever seem to get past some of these bigger teams. So that's sort of my first thought. I figure out of the AFC, okay, Bills. I think the NFC is wide open because the Lions are hurt. Home field advantage, of course, is tough. I mean, like some of this nonsense with the divisional, and Dan Angel for Godzilla Wins wrote a good piece about this. Why he hates the divisional winners get a bye rule in the NFL. He wants it to vanish because you get teams like Tampa and Houston who really don't deserve a home game, and you get teams like Minnesota who should have. They should have home field advantage at least in the wild card game. And yet they have to go on the road because their division is stacked. It's kind of nonsense, and it has allowed for some nonsense Super Bowls. The Cardinals being one of them, who kind of waltzed into a Super Bowl that ended up being like a pretty good Super Bowl with the Steelers. Shout out Pittsburgh there when Pittsburgh won that Super Bowl. But there's been a bunch of others too where you see that. So if I'm just my head says the Bills, and maybe the Vikings, just because I really like that team. My heart kind of says the Commanders. I don't know why. They're not going to win the Super Bowl. They got a rookie quarterback.
It'll be fun.
But there's just, I don't know. There's something about them over the
NFC
last couple
feels
weeks.
wide open.
It does.
Yeah, it feels stacked and wide open. There's so many quality
teams. The Commanders play with a lot of confidence, and like they just, I don't know. I don't know if it's Cliff Kingsbury. He's having a resurgence. He's going to get a job as a head coach again here pretty soon or whatever. But Jaden Daniels looks great. And I don't know. Maybe they're not going to win the Super Bowl, but like there's part of me that just wants to sprinkle a little bit of money on that plus 40, like that 45-1. Why not have a long shot in there? But and I hope that they continue to be good in the future. I don't, we talked about this, I think last year with Houston. It's like, oh, this is awesome. Rookie quarterback, like Houston looks really good. They can make some noise. And now they stink this year. They're in the playoffs, but Lord, they stink. So I'm hoping Washington can really put together a run, because it's cool when Washington has a good football team. So my heart is saying Commanders, my head probably the Bills.
The Commanders Redskins fever is real. 12 wins. It's the first time since 1991. When arguably maybe the best NFL football team that's ever been created. That Redskins team was amazing back then. So, yeah, I would love. Yeah, it would be fun. It would be everyone in my area. But I'm rooting for I want a Bills Lions. I feel there's a lot of, and the AFC side, I just feel there's a lot of pressure on some of these quarterbacks. And the one team that doesn't have any pressure is the one team going for the three-peat, the Chiefs. They have the bye. Yes, nobody cares if they win or lose. They expect them. This is the worst Chiefs team. And we are just dismissing them. Like, we are just like, it's going to be the Ravens. It's going to be the Bills. Watch, it's the Chiefs. It's going to sickeningly be the Chiefs because they have no pressure. Lamar's going to have a tough time getting past Pittsburgh this week, only because the rivalry, but only because Zay Flowers being out, making them one-dimensional. Now, then when they're one-dimensional with the running game, it's two different runners, so it's not, it's kind of two-dimensional with the running game. But not having Zay Flowers is going to be huge. He's probably back the next week, and I think the Ravens really can roll when he's in there. But they're going to struggle a little bit, and they're going to have to get past their rival. That's a bad matchup for the Ravens to get after being such a dominant team to end the year. But I tell you what, the Ravens struggling in the beginning of the season may cost them this run, because Zay Flowers and them having to play the final game of the season when they shouldn't have. They should, if they had one more win, they would have been able to rest some players. That might kill them, because Zay Flowers, if he doesn't come back, they will not win the Super Bowl. They will not win the Super Bowl. So I think that clears the way for Buffalo. Yeah, and Detroit, I know they're injured, but they don't look injured. And now they got their two-headed monster, Sonic the Hedgehog, and all them are all back. So I think Detroit.
And they're tough at home. I mean, you're right about the Chiefs. Like, I used to listen to Ryan Russillo a lot, who's with The Ringer now, and he used to say he says this with the Chiefs all the time, that this is like the Tim Duncan Spurs. Every year at the beginning of the season, you just pick them to win the championship because the odds that they're going to win the championship are so much higher than everybody else. Now 3-1 odds or 350 to 1, whatever they are, plus 350, 300 to 1 are not great. If you got them at the beginning of the season, you get a little bit more action there. But yeah, I mean, we shouldn't be counting out a team that is 15-1. They never lose. And now it's the playoffs. Who cares if they squeaked out all these wins? They get home field advantage through. They have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Like, they have in Travis Kelce, who's going to come alive in the playoffs. They have all of this talent. And yeah, they haven't looked great, but there's no reason why the Chiefs can't win another Super Bowl. I mean, there really isn't. And they're sitting in the best possible position. So, I mean, we really shouldn't be counting them out.
We're going to have
no reason not to take
a couple minutes. We're going to have to be putting our money where your mouth is. We got all these games to pick. We got spreads coming up. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fasten your seatbelts.
It's going to be fun, and we are going to take a minute to reset and get prepped for all those games and picks and breakdowns, and we will be back with you in just 1 minute. Don't change the dial. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you in 60 seconds.
You're listening to Godzilla Wins on the John Fredericks Media Network. For a deeper dive without the jive, visit the website of winners, GodzillaWins.com. Let's get back to the show with the guys in the know, John, Jack, and Nate. It's Godzilla Wins on the John Fredericks Media Network.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Godzilla Wins Saturday Pick Show. We are back, joined by John Fredericks, Jack Fredericks, and Mitch Rogers, and we are about to give you some picks for all of the NFL first-round playoff games. We'll be talking Texans, Chargers, Ravens, Steelers, Bills, Broncos, Bucks, Commanders, Eagles, Packers, and Rams, Vikings for the next hour. We're going to be breaking down every game, giving you all of our picks. Before we do that, though, these picks are for entertainment purposes only. And if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-426-2537. If you live in Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Michigan, Nebraska, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, or Wyoming, call 1-800-327-5050 or visit gamblinghelpline-ma.org. If you're in Massachusetts, call 877-GHOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY if you're in New York, 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona, 1-800-522-4700 in Kansas or New Hampshire, 888-79-7777 or visit ccpg.org if you're in Connecticut, 1-800-BETS-OFF if you're in Iowa, or visit opgr.org if you're in Oregon. Also, would like to remind everyone that this show is brought to you by Native Path. You can go to getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Get started on your collagen journey. Collagen is something that we get from our food. It's something that occurs in our body, but it's something that as you get older, your body processes less of. You need a little supplement sometimes. Collagen supports healthy hair, joints, nails, digestion, skin. It supports everything. It's been great for John. Since he's been taking collagen, it's allowed his joints to, be a little bit less inflamed. Because of that less inflammation, he's able to be a little bit more active. And John has been losing weight like crazy. His skin's glowing. His hair is allegedly growing back. His nails are probably like some sort of monster picture. And, it's all because of collagen. So just go ahead and get started on your collagen journey. Support healthy bones, joints, skin, hair, nails, digestion, everything. You can get started on your collagen journey by going to getnativepath.com/Godzilla. 45% off. Lowest $21 a month to get started on yours. Just throw in your coffee and go. All right, so let's start talking about some games then. Let's start talking. I guess we'll just start with the first one. First one coming up today. It's probably the one that everyone across America is, I would guess, looking at this schedule, the least excited about. They really just did a pretty soft lead into the playoffs with the scheduling here. We have the LA Chargers taking on the Houston Texans, two teams that nobody has, I don't think, targeted for postseason greatness this season or this postseason. Houston's a 3-point underdog. Totals at 43, anywhere between 41.5 and 43, kind of depending on where you're shopping the line. The total's kind of all over the place everywhere. The Texans haven't looked great. The Chargers look like a team that have sort of found their identity. Do the Chargers just come and just stomp on the Texans? Is that feels like the ultimate Jim Harbaugh move? Just come out here and just win by $1 billion.
Yeah, that is what's going to happen. I forget the statistic that I came across. It was something like Houston's like 1-6 against playoff teams or something kind of heinous like that. They played in an awful division and they have not looked good. Like Tampa Bay plays in kind of a bad division, but there are times when I watch Tampa Bay and I'm like, I don't hate this. Like, I don't hate what Tampa Bay.
They're not bad.
Yeah. Like, they can make a little bit of noise. Houston, they don't look good against anyone who is not the Titans or the Jaguars or the Colts. They just stink. And it's too bad because I thought they'd be really good this year. I thought CJ Stroud would take another gigantic step. And it seems like he's had some sophomore struggles as well. They are at home. That does matter. In the NFL, that really matters. I don't know. It's been a while since Los Angeles has been here. But when you have Harbaugh and you have a team like the Chargers that has really been a tough team this year over the course of especially sort of the second half of the season, he's got them playing really well, and I think this is probably a game where I would take the favorite here, the road favorite, the Chargers, because I just don't think Houston's going to win. And if this game were at neutral site or we're in Los Angeles, I think the spread is like -8. You know what I mean? It's just the fact.
I agree with Jack 100%. I love the Chargers here with Harbaugh. He took a team that had 5 wins last season. Now he's got a shot to get to the Super Bowl. They're kind of playing really good football now, and the Texans have just faded. I'm with Jack 100%. They played the Titans 2 times. They played Indianapolis twice. They played Jacksonville twice. They play in the worst division in the history of the NFL ever with 3 other teams that really suck. So who did they beat? I don't see this team. I get the home thing, but that's why they're an underdog at home. Chargers are -3. That's my best bet of the day. Chargers -3, no doubt.
Also, I know Mitch wants to get in here, but I think this week I would fear both Los Angeles teams. Like these fires are affecting everyone in that area, including both teams. We're going to talk about the Rams who have to play in Phoenix. When this type of tragedy hits a city, the teams that are playing meaningful sports game, whatever it is, baseball, basketball, football, they tend to overperform because they're playing for something a little bit more. And I know sometimes we think about professional athletes, specifically football players, as playing for that paycheck. But these guys have a lot of pride in the cities that they represent. So I think both the Rams and the Chargers this week, I would be very skeptical to fade, just because I think they're going to be playing for something very important as both these teams are in the playoffs.
Jack, 3 years ago or 4, the Houston Astros, the city of Houston was hit with that major storm. Well, the power was out and all that thing happened. They had to move the Astros games to Tampa Bay, right? Astros were playing about 500 baseball. They played 9 games there at home at the Tampa Bay Rays Stadium. They won 8 out of 9. I remember that specifically because I was like, oh, we got to go play in Tampa. I can't stand that place. And they won 8 out of 9. So to what you're saying is, I think they look at it as a bigger picture. They're playing for the city, and so I think I'm gonna buy into that.
No, and yeah, I agree too, because it also, in a weird way, you're not thinking about football, so you're not getting anxious and nervous about this game coming up. You're more worried about your community and everybody else. So yeah, and when it comes to the game, it's what Harbaugh's done with this team is just insane. Like, you got Justin Herbert, who is the most efficient quarterback in the NFL. I mean, he only averaged like 220 yards a game, but he's only thrown 3 interceptions, 500 passes. Like, the only person that's ever done that ever is Aaron Rodgers in his prime. They look like a completely different team. I brought this up before. The Steelers played the Chargers and the Broncos earlier in the season, and those 2 teams aren't the same teams that the Steelers faced. So both those squads, I don't think anybody wants to face them, but I'm really interested to see. Everybody's writing off the Texans. CJ Stroud had a sophomore slump. If this guy has any gumption, any metal in him, he could rewrite that narrative right now. He could rewrite that narrative today and win a playoff game as a home underdog. And all of a sudden, that sophomore slump becomes a stepping stone for him to get to that great level that we thought he was going to be last year. Joe Mixon is the X factor in this game. If that guy gets over 85 yards, the Texans are going to win here. I'm going to go with the Texans. I think CJ Stroud shows up today when the whole world thinks he won't. So I'm gonna.
The Chargers have like a top 5 defense. I don't think they're gonna have much trouble with Mixon.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe. No, I'm sorry. No, I'm just saying. Yeah, you're right. They shouldn't. But if he gets off there, if he goes off there and then opens up the play action game and CJ Stroud, it's not all on him. I think that's a recipe for success.
I mean, I think my handicapping maybe. I think I'm interested in the Chargers. I think that the Texans often sort of start pretty fast. They've been really good in the first half against the spread. I think if I was going to bet the Chargers, I might wait and try and do it live and just see if the Texans maybe hop out and get like an early score, and then maybe it's pick them, or maybe Texans minus 1 or 2. And then you turn around and hop on the Chargers then, when they're plus points.
I like that. This has a live betting feel, right?
It does. Yeah. So if I was going to bet the Chargers, I think I might wait just because the Texans sometimes they have a pretty good game script at the beginning of games. They get Stroud in kind of a rhythm early, and then it all falls apart later on. That's kind of like where my head is for the side. I mean, in terms of just bets that I will make or want to make, probably the under. LA's defense is so much better on the road. They have the best defense on the road of anybody in the NFL, and they're horrible at home. Luckily for them, they're not at home. They are on the road, so the defense should be there. I mean, I think a lot of that's coaching. I think that Harbaugh deliberately sort of gets his teams into situations that he thinks he can manage. Some of that is a defensive emphasis. Some of that is just putting Herbert in positions to succeed. I mean, at the end of the day, if I'm just looking at this game and you say, which quarterback do I want, which is so much of the NFL handicapping, do I want Herbert or Stroud? I'd rather have Herbert. But right now, that's not even a question. So, I mean, if my money's going anywhere, it's going to be towards the Chargers, I think. But I don't know. I feel more confident about this game just being kind of a low-scoring, slug-it-out game. Both these defenses are better than the offenses right now, for sure.
And look, 1-800-GAMBLER, right, for a disclaimer, but you should be live betting everything until the Super Bowl. This is like the live betting, this is the best month for live betting. This and March Madness are the 2 best months where you just get on, because nobody wants to live bet baseball. I mean, I don't anyway. There's too much variance, but college basketball, NFL, baby, yeah. So
my bookie's my bookie's 80 years old. He hates when I call. I'm like, yeah, I get this bet in.
Yeah, no,
I don't
no
get these. What are you guys on the apps or something? Is there app?
All right. Next game. This is Mitch's game. This is the game that he's going to be waiting for and pre-gaming for all day.
I know. I've got the article, but I didn't know what I was going to do at the end. I didn't know who I was going to pick until after I got the vibes of the crew.
Is your article up
No,
now?
it's coming. It's done. I didn't know who I was going to pick until I was going to feel
You better get it up there. It's already 10:13, so the show's over.
I know. Hold on, let me leave.
If you look at the live splits, if you look at the 5-game splits for these teams, the Steelers got to be feeling good coming in and coming off 4 straight losses. You know,
that's the way you want to get, man. That's how you win Super Bowls.
Close loss against
not
the
only 4
Bengals.
straight losses, they haven't been in a game in the third quarter. Any of them, they've gotten blown out all 4 times.
They hung tough with Cincinnati in week 18.
The Ravens, they threw a pick 6 at the end. Come on.
Okay. So, you know, the Ravens, on the other hand, have won their last 4 in a row. You know, pretty convincingly, 35-10 against the Browns, 31-2 against the Texans, 34-17 against the Steelers, 35-14 against the Giants. So a couple teams going in different directions. Baltimore's offense looks unstoppable. They're getting a lot of respect in the betting market. They're a 9.5, 10-point favorite, depending on
Unbelievable.
And
Unbelievable.
3.5.
Unbelievable. Mitch,
Okay, well,
Mitch
tell me.
and Nate, that we can look at a game with the team with this defense, with this pedigree, and they're a 10-point underdog against the Ravens, who this guy has not brought to a Super Bowl. This to me is the most obscene, outrageous line I've seen in years. I mean, the disrespect to Pittsburgh is incredible. Like I'm going to sit there and lay 9.5 against this defense where everybody now is back. They're all back, right? I'm going to let you think you're going to beat this team by 10. The total disrespect of the Steelers based on their 4-game losing streak, the disrespect to Tomlin, the disrespect of the city, the disrespect of Watt, that whole defensive line. I find this spread to be outrageous. I mean, somebody said, I think my son Jack a week ago said, I'm going to bet something on principle. That I agree with you, or somebody said that. This is a principle bet. I'm going to sit here and the Vegas saying, oh, the Steelers suck this bad. They're going to be a 10-point underdog. When 4 weeks ago they were 10-3 and were fighting for home field advantage throughout the playoffs. Then everybody got hurt. Then you had the Pickens fiasco. Listen, Tomlin's team is an underdog. He's going to go in there. They're disrespected. Nobody expects him to win this game. I'm not going to bet the money line because I don't do that when I have an underdog. But the Steelers are going to play very good football here. I think they got a shot to win the game. I love them plus 9.5. This line is an outrage.
And I think when you look at the last game, you know, all the players that were injured are back, right? You know, and there was 2 fumbles that the Steelers didn't recover. Baltimore got them. You had Russ fumble at the 1-yard line and a pick 6, and we're in the game until the very end, right? So if you're looking at like that, 9 seems a lot. I think Baltimore, you know, should be favored. I mean, I don't think that's outrageous. 9.5, I get it. I mean, the Steelers have played awful. Their offense has just been atrocious. Either it's the long bomb or it's a short dump pass. They have no intermediary pass game, which they need to get back. They have to get off. If they get a 3rd and long, they're done. They're just done. They don't have the offense that can do anything at 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. So first down is imperative. They need to get more 5-6 yards on first down. I think they can scheme that and get that. I think it's a closer game than 9.5. I'm going to go with the Steelers with the plus 9.5 for sure. I don't know if they can pull out the victory because I just haven't seen them play winning football in over a month. Despite the injuries, George Pickens, I'm off that train, man. He dropping all those passes, easy 4-yard passes last week. I mean, it was almost like he was doing it on purpose. You know what? Sign T. Higgins next year, trade him, and he's a cancer. And there's something, that vibe, and he's your best offensive player, and we need him, and he knows it. But I've never seen so much pressure on a wild card game that Mike Tomlin is under so much pressure to get a win. He hasn't had a playoff win since 2017, and that is not the Steelers' way. I know national pundits are like, oh, we're above 500. It's great. That's not what the Steelers want. They want playoff victories. They want Super Bowls. Tomlin needs to win today, or there's going to be questions, from the national media, about Tomlin.
Yeah.
If his message has got stale. But I think it's closer, John. I'm with you. I think that's too big of a spread. I think it stays close because traditionally they have stayed close. I mean, that's just what the Steelers Ravens are, and the Steelers have a good team in there. There is something in there. That game plan they had last week against the Bengals, where they were running the entire time after throwing for 500 yards the time before, was just stupid. It was idiotic. So come in. It's a coaching thing. Terrell Austin on defense, and Arthur Smith need to coach and need to coach well along with Tomlin, because if they're coached well, this team can win, and I think they'll be a lot better than they have been the last 4 weeks.
When are you going to put your article up?
Oh, I got him.
He's going to email it to me with ample time to post it before the game. Not
I always do it when he's in the woods. I was doing.
Yeah, I know. I'm always just like, come on. But no. I'm not doing anything today. You can send it to me whenever. So a couple things. You guys are really like the Steelers kind of.
You're straining, yeah. Proud pedigree you speak of is 5 straight first-round playoff losses.
Yeah, and the other thing, Dad said, oh well, the Ravens need to prove that they haven't won a Super Bowl, under Lamar, but they do win wild card games. I mean, they're like 6-1 under Harbaugh in the wild card round, and they're always playing in the wild card round because the Chiefs and the Bills are. Well, the Chiefs mostly are securing that, first round bye. And when they used to have 2 buys, it was like the Chiefs and the Bills. So, I mean, this is a spot that Baltimore's pretty used to. And I think a 9.5 spread is pretty fair for a team that is like falling backwards into the playoffs, spiraling with their quarterback. I mean, anyone who's like confident that Russell Wilson can like even deliver a cover in this game. I mean, you guys are just, you like Mitch being like, well, I'm loading. Well, they come on. They, Russ fumbled on the 1 and on, whatever that game was. And it's like, yeah, he fumbled on the 1. Like, that's not good, man. That's not,
that's like 14 points.
That's not like a good
George Pickens just hasn't been around, but he's going to show up in the biggest moment of his career right now after just being non-existent for over a month.
And look, as a Falcons fan, I can tell you with confidence that Arthur Smith is not all of a sudden going to figure out how to play call. Like, that's not just going to happen one week to the next. So, I'm thinking, and I went all in on these principal picks last week, and I lost all of them. All these these 10-point spreads. So now I'm just going the other way, and I'll take the Ravens minus 9.5. I mean, this really is just the problem. Is just how confident can you be in Pittsburgh if they keep losing all these games, and all of a sudden they find themselves in the playoffs? A couple weeks ago, they may have had this game in Pittsburgh, had they been able to win some games. So, I understand your guys' passion, the outrage of the 9.5 point spread. I think it's pretty fair, and I'm probably going to go with Lamar and Jim Harbaugh here, who really do dominate that wild card round. I mean, they do, and then they get smoked in the next round. But
I'm gonna back that up too. I mean, I like Baltimore here. I mean, the offense for Pittsburgh scares me not at all. The defense for Baltimore has been great, and like the fun betting nugget that I dug up here is that home favorites of 9 or more points in the wild card round over the last 2 decades are 10-1 against the spread, covering by an average margin, or winning by an average margin of 17 points. So, there's that aspect of it, that,
division rival without their number 1 receiver.
And then the Steelers also have lost 5 straight playoff games, falling by an average margin of 14 points.
Oh, we don't need to bring that up. We don't need
to bring that up either.
You're fine. You don't need to bring up that. Can you just bring up 2008 stats?
Yeah, I know we got a lot of games to go through, but I think this is an important question. We can do just a minute, Nate, if that's okay. Yeah. Like, if they get blown out, like 14, 18-point loss, do they fire Tomlin? Like, I mean, that seems to be what people seem to be talking about this.
I mean, if Tomlin, the only way Tomlin goes is if he decides that he wants to go.
No.
I mean,
he keeps getting him in the playoffs. I wish I had a team that got in the playoffs in the first round, got blown out.
Yeah, but Mitch just spent 5 minutes talking about how getting in the playoffs is not acceptable.
I think the seat. I think the seat gets a little hot because after the playoff loss to Buffalo last season, the owner came out Rooney came right out and said that this isn't acceptable. We need some playoff victories. I don't think he's out until he has a quarterback, right? And then loses with the quarter. He's in quarterback purgatory right now. Now he shops for the groceries as much as with the GM, so that's his fault too. So I think it gets warmer, and I think at some point, if you're Tomlin, you just may want to go somewhere else because your message just gets
No, you're
stale.
not going
But
to
I
leave
don't know.
Pittsburgh. No way. You guys are dreaming. Look, he's
It's all moot. It's all moot. They're winning.
They're
today.
gonna
See, this is why I waited for the article. This is why I waited.
You know what's fun though? If I could just digress here for 1 second, this is like in the mind of the bettor, right? So I got Nate going through all of these stats, right? 10-1 in the first game, the wild card, and they cover everything in ATS, and kind of like we got a lot of analysts that do that. And it's interesting when I'm picking the team that the stats match up to. I'm saying that's right. But when I'm picking the team that the stats don't match up to, I'm saying, those stats don't matter. ATS 2 years ago, it doesn't matter.
Right.
It's just like the mind of the bettor. You're going to justify whatever you're doing. So, you know what, Mitch? I just hope the Steelers win this game. Just win it and shut everybody up.
I know.
I just hope they win because I'm like sick of this Ravens and how bad we are. And it's not we. I'm not a Steelers fan. I'm just picking them today. Yeah, how bad they are, and they got blown out and this and that. I hope the Steelers go in there, win this game. I'm going to laugh my ass off.
No, I'm looking at right to the left of me. I'll have all my family here in a few hours. It's going to be great. We have a tradition in our family. We call it the terrible banana. So we take a banana, a full ripe banana. We write terrible banana on it, and we keep it out for the whole playoff run. By the end, it gets black and gold. So I'm hoping we can get this terrible banana.
Might still be edible after today.
Yeah.
Or you
Come on.
Or you just
not-
put it in your
yeah.
cereal the next day when
Write
don't-
terrible banana on it at 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern, and then at 10:30 you're gonna be like, oh, maybe I'll
Russ is going to channel Big Ben right here. Big Ben 7's coming out today.
Yeah. I think you'll be fine with that banana at
that
8
food waste
o'clock
wrapped here.
Eastern. No need to save
Jerome
it.
Bettis
No need
running
to
over
save it in
Urlacher.
and put in banana bread. You guys will be okay.
banana bread.
It's gonna be fine.
Terrible banana, baby. Oh, and for years I thought it was I thought it was a Pittsburgh thing, and then I was like 15 when I realized it was only like the Rodgers
Hey,
thing.
let
That
me
is-
give a shout.
it's
let me
just your
give a
deranged
shout out.
family.
Let me give a shout out to everybody out there in Steelers Nation. Anybody football fan out there, don't forget you can listen to the Steelers game. Doesn't matter where you are in the country. On our app today, on all of our apps, you can just go to johnfredericksradio.com, download that app. Starting at 6 p.m. pregame show, you're going to get the Steelers on. Michael Coleman running the board there, and of course, across all of our radio stations. If you don't want the national game with the milk toast announcers, blah blah blah, right? Whatever they are. If you want the Steelers homers, baby, you want to tune into the John Fredericks Radio Network in any of our locations: Nashville, Atlanta, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, West Virginia. It's all there, Virginia. Or you can download our app and you can get real Pittsburgh announcers football right here. And you can do what I do with the Astros games. Put the game on TV, turn the volume down, put my Astros guys on. That's how I do every game because I don't want to listen to Joe Buck or something blasting my team. Screw him. I want my baseball guys. You can get your football games on the app. Steelers Nation live at 6 p.m.
I like it. Rob King is the play-by-play. Done a great job this year too. He's fun. Yep.
Okay. Another game. We're moving on to Sunday now, so we're done with the Saturday games. We're going to the 1 p.m. Eastern time start to a big Sunday. 3 games on Sunday. First game up will be the Denver Broncos are a 8 to 9 point favorite, I think, depending on where you're shopping. Or the Denver Broncos are 8 to 9 point underdog against the Buffalo Bills, who are a home favorite. It looks like a Bills win to me. I mean, how can you take anything away from the last week of the season when Denver just beat the brakes off of the Chiefs? I mean, that was like a nothing game. The Chiefs basically put out nothing. So I don't know how much we can pull from that. We likewise can't draw that much from a meaningless loss by the Bills. How are we betting this game? I mean, I like the Bills. I'll just go ahead and lead with that. I like the Bills here to just roll the Broncos. I think these are just two teams in totally different weight classes. What do you guys like?
I'm 100% with Nate. I thought 9.5 was too much against Pittsburgh, but Buffalo at home, I mean, they score a lot. Look, I like Denver. I like what Sean Payton's done. I like their season. I like a lot of things. But you got a rookie quarterback going into Buffalo against Josh Allen. I mean, give me a break, okay? In the snow, in the cold. And if it starts snowing there, they're all going to go absolutely bat crap crazy. You got the Bills Mafia going. So Knicks is going to throw a couple picks here. I think of all the games on the card, I think this one's going to be the blowout. So I love the Bills here minus 8.5. Let me also say that if you're watching us now, you're probably saying, "Boy, you guys look really great." Thank you. I really appreciate that. That's because we're all taking collagen, which is a protein that the body absolutely needs. You're going to look better. You're going to feel better. You see, my hair's growing back. I've been on it about 4 months. My whole family's on it. But the main thing is it's going to give you more energy because collagen is a protein that as you get older, it depletes out your body. And the best way to get your collagen, I take 2 scoops a day, right in my coffee, right here, can't taste it, mix it up, me and Jay, with a little frother. You're good to go. And the beauty of this is 2 scoops a day, and after 2 weeks, aches and pains go away. You're going to feel better, which means you're going to move around more, and you're just going to look better. This started with Ann, who I kept saying, you always look fantastic, but like, what is going on? You look like super phenomenal. She started taking collagen. My whole company's on it. You can be on it too, and it's so affordable. You can save up to 50% right now, $21, and you can get on collagen and start feeling better. My hair is growing back. I don't know about Mitch's, but just go. How do you spell frother? Frother. All I know is I love my frother. In fact, I didn't have one in Washington, D.C., so I had to call up and order one. I got, Sarah, I got to get my frother. You got to send it to me ASAP. And she did that. But look, all you got to do is go to, there's no promo code. Just feel better immediately and look better for $21. It's like a biggest no-brainer in history. All you have to do is go to getnativepath.com, getnativepath.com/Godzilla, getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Get your collagen there. 2 weeks, you're going to see a difference. I've lost 40 pounds. Part of it, collagen. It's not a weight loss supplement, but I feel better. I move more. I go up and down stairs instead of taking elevator, things of that nature. Therefore, I've lost all this weight. Collagen is a big piece of that because I'm healthier. I feel better. All you got to do is go to getnativepath.com/Godzilla and you're good to go.
So the Bills are 8-0 at home this year. I think Dad makes a good point. Rookie quarterback in Bo Nix. Not that I don't love backyard Bo. Like, just incredible that this guy's in the playoffs. He's always had the tools. You know, he had him at Auburn. He had him at Oregon. You know, Sean Payton is a tricky coach to, like, in this moment, you know, it's hard, man. I mean, Sean Payton comes out and wins some of these games or covers. So I don't really know what to do with the spread. I mean, if I'm being really smart, I think I'm taking the Bills. But I like the over. Buffalo, I think, has hit 11 out of 17 overs or something, and Denver around the same 10 out of 17 overs. Both these teams score a lot of points. And, you know, barring some sort of huge snowstorm, which even in a snowstorm, you know, they might be able to score. But, you know, if it snows, I'd probably revise this just, you know, because it's harder to score in the snow. But if the field's clean and it's just cold, I think both these teams score a ton of points. We see that with Josh Allen, especially on prime time. And I don't think there's any reason Denver doesn't get a couple touchdowns. I mean, you know what I mean? They're not going to get shut out. I mean, so I think the over is the best play. I also like, if you're doing some prop stuff, maybe Josh Allen plus over 2.5 touchdowns. There's no reason why he can't throw 3 touchdowns. I mean, that to me seems like pretty easy money. So that's kind of where I'm at with this game. High scoring, a lot of points, you know, 2 great offenses. But as far as the spread goes, if it weren't the Broncos, I've really enjoyed watching them play the last couple weeks. They look pretty good. So I don't know, maybe they end up covering, but I mean, at home playoff game, Josh Allen versus a rookie quarterback. Bills are 8-0 at home. It's cold. I mean, the Bills probably pull this out.
Yeah, I like the over as well because I don't like Sean Payton in a spot where he has nothing to lose. Rookie quarterback, they're playing well. He's just going. I think he's going to unleash Knicks, which means he probably throws a pick six or something here or there. But I don't want to touch the spread of this game. Sean Payton in this role, I can feel like he can keep it close. But yeah, I think the over is the play. I'm going to go with it's 47.5. Yeah, I think I'm going to go over there just because I think they're going to let Bo Nix throw a lot, and that could lead to disaster. Or he doesn't, or So I think they're going to try to go with a high powered offense. So
yeah, look, Peyton's weird. I mean,
points.
Remember he like started off the second half with the onside kick in the Super Bowl when he won against Drew Brees. Like, he likes to get weird in these playoff matches. And you're right, Mitch. Like, he has nothing to lose. I mean, he is playing with house money. He's got a new quarterback. He's got a resurgent team. This is a Denver team, a lot like Pittsburgh. They expect to win playoff games, but they didn't expect to win a playoff game this year, and they've looked really good. So Peyton is probably going to do a couple things that are kind of surprising, but again, the Bills are the Bills. They're tough, and you can't count them out.
Yeah, I mean, the Bills are still my team. I mean, I get that. Like, I get these arguments. I mean, and Sean Payton does have a good record in the playoffs as an underdog. I mean, he's 4-1 against the spread as a dog in the playoffs. Granted, I think almost all of those playoff covers have been with Drew Brees as his quarterback. So those stats are always a little funky, like, where it's like, okay, so Sean Payton's 4-1 against the spread as an underdog in the playoffs, but also like, so Drew Brees was 4-1 in the playoffs as an underdog. That makes a lot more sense to me than Sean Payton. Granted, he does do some weird stuff, but yeah, this just feels like the Bills win to me. I mean, I can't take the points with Denver here, even if something weird does happen. I mean, Josh Allen's been on such another level, and to go out and basically, I think you're putting Bo Nix in a position where you're like, okay, like, you have to score 30 points to win this game. Like, Josh Allen's going to on the road. Like, Josh Allen's going to hang 30 on Broncos defense. Like, that's just how that's going to go. And it's going to be on Bo Nix to try and figure out how to hang in a shootout. And I know who I want in that shootout, and it's Josh Allen. It's not a rookie quarterback who played in the NCAA football for like 11 years and has like a lot of big time experience, but he's also like, doesn't have that much NFL experience.
And is famous for throwing interceptions in big games.
Right. It's famous for just like it's like his brain just like goes outside of his body for a while. And he's just like astral projecting throws down the field. So yeah, it's tough. So I like the Bills. Okay. We got another game coming up. What game do we have next? We have the Bucks versus the Commanders. This is an exciting game, a close game. Commanders are a 3-point underdog going on the road to Tampa, Florida, to take on the Buccaneers, who are a 3-point favorite. Totals high, 50.5, depending on where you're buying. I mean, do we have thoughts on this game? I mean, I kind of like look at Tampa, and I think like they're a sneaky NFC team to just come out and just like, you're just sort of like, like, they just look frisky enough, and they're 12-1 to win the NFC and make it to the Super Bowl. I don't like them to win the Super Bowl, but I think there are crazier possibilities in the Buccaneers, like kind of stringing together a couple wins and surprising some people. I mean, I don't think that's outside the realm of possibility. I know that there's a lot of Washington love here, so go ahead and tell me why I'm wrong.
Nate, everybody is behind Washington in this game, and I get it. I mean, Jalen Daniels has been fun to watch, and you give the guy the ball with a minute and a half to go, and he goes down the field like a cool cucumber, like a 5-year veteran, and gets a touchdown, and he's winning all these games at the end. But here's what we're not talking about: how good Baker Mayfield has been this season.
Yeah, and
he's been really good. And so this is a veteran quarterback at home. While I like the story of Washington, I love it's impossible to not like Jaden Daniels. He's just a fine young man. He's a Christian. He always gives his teammates all the accolades, and his coaches. I root for him as a man. But you're going into Tampa playing a really good defense with a quarterback that has not gotten the love that he should be getting this season. Baker Mayfield has had just an outstanding season. Been there, done that. He's been in these playoff games. So it's kind of like the Bo Nix thing in a way. -3, you look at the +3. Your first reaction is to take a shot with Washington, but I don't see them winning this game. I think that the Tampa Bay is a better all around team with a veteran quarterback who's having a great season that nobody's talking about, and so I think it's going to be his day to shine. I like Tampa Bay -3.
Yeah, I think the Commanders' defense is going to really hurt them. They have the worst rushing defense of any team in the playoffs right now, and Tampa can run the ball when they want to. I mean, they can throw the ball. It's going to be a shootout. The over might be a good play. I know it's high; it's like 50. But yeah, I mean, and like I said, I'm in the DC area, so this is going to be a fun. Everybody's excited. Right when you saw that spread, I was like, you got to jump on the Commanders right away. But then, you peel back and you look and you go, wow. Tampa's had a really good season, and Tampa has a really good tradition now. I mean, since Tom Brady, they've been in the playoffs 5 times. Playing at that stadium I've been to that stadium a few times. It's a weird, good home field advantage when it's a big game and it's not 100 degrees. I'm gonna go with the Commanders with my heart here, but I feel, I feel like this could be Tampa's moment, but Washington's going to have to score and then have to put up at least 30 points to win.
Tampa wins these wild card games at home. That's they did that with Brady. They did that with Baker last year. It's a weird. I mean, I know Mitch just mentioned this, but it's a weirdly difficult place to play.
It is.
Like, I mean the Tampa Bay Rays can't fill out their stadium, but like this city like gets up for the Bucks, and they're another team with a long history of winning. They've won some Super Bowls, etc. That said, I mean, I just in my gut tells me that this is going to be a really close game, and so I'm just going to take the Commanders because I want the points. If the Bucks were an underdog, I'd probably take the Bucks too. I think this is going to be a really exciting close game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. The Bucks don't blow a lot of teams out. The Commanders are hot right now. I mean, they're winning a lot of games. And they look really good. So I mean, I'm pretty comfortable taking the +3 here. I don't know. Maybe Tampa gets out with the win. Hits a field goal at the end to win by 1, and I still cover. That's kind of where I'm at. But I like Washington. I think Washington. I think the thing is, I think this is a game where Washington is just a tough matchup for Tampa because of the fact that they're streaking right now. But the rushing defense isn't great. It's probably going to be a shootout. So, we'll see. I really don't know what to do with this game too much. So I'm just going to take the points. I think
you're dissing the pirate ship. That's the pirate ship in these playoff games. When those cannons start going off and
it's tough.
I mean, I've been to 2 games in Tampa Bay. One was a regular season game. I forget who they beat. And then one time Jack and I went to the Super Bowl, right? Ravens Giants was in Tampa.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of fun there. At some point when we have time, when we have a lull, I'll tell you the stories about that. But we had so much fun there. But it is a weird place. It's a weird place to play as a visiting team. I don't know why it is with that pirate ship going on, but I think they're going to be very, very tough at home. And I'm with Jack here. I mean, they win. Mayfield wins these first wild card games somehow. So, but it's going to be an exciting game.
And I'll tell a Super Bowl story real quick that
good.
he won't tell from the Tampa game. Him and his buddies after the game were imbibing, enjoying all Tampa has to offer, I suppose. Of course, there was a designated driver, but everybody else was, except for me, was imbibing because I was like, I don't know, 10 or
12?
11.
Yeah.
12.
Yeah, something like that. 2001, I was like 10 or 11. And they had bought all this tailgating like stuff, like a charcoal grill, and lawn chairs. And they were just driving around Tampa, just like putting lawn chairs in people's front yards and like just stopping the car and running the gas grill and putting it on someone's porch and then running back into the car. And so I certainly remember that as one of the many experiences at that Super Bowl. That was like a boys trip. There were like 4 of y'all, and and me. And so that was that was
The
that was
best,
quite the boost.
I thought the
But we don't have time to do the
but
other
I
stories.
got
I
to tell
know.
this one story. I just got to
Yeah.
tell this one story.
Well,
So
you got to be quick.
I'll be very quick. So
Yeah,
it's
what a
after
game.
the game. Well, it's after the game, and there was a parking lot, and they were tailgating, and there was another guy that I went to get something with, and they're like the other guys are like, well, we'll take Jack. So they took Jack, and Bill and I went and did something. So it's about an hour later we come back, and they had gone to the store and they bought lawn chairs, grills, charcoal, this huge cookout, and they were making ribs. Right, this is right in the parking lot after the game. It was like 10 p.m. at night. So we come back, and my son, Jack is 11 or 12 years old, is sitting on the hood of the pickup truck that they had rented, sitting on the hood, eating barbecued ribs on top of the hood. His entire face had the barbecue sauce on him.
The other thing I did I did when I was unsupervised during a crowded parking lot at like 11 years
With
old,
Ravens fans running around.
for like an hour and a half, is I stole all the Giants Win newspaper that they print out beforehand. They had it at there was like a tent, and they had all these Giants Win newspapers behind the tent, and I stole like 50 of them, and I was just handing them out to people in the street, being like, Giants win. So yeah, it was
Should have got Kerry Collins to sign one.
Yeah, it was kind of a debacle, but I know we got a couple games to get through.
Yeah, to put a pin on this Tampa thing, I guess I have one stat, because I think that a lot of people look at the Commanders and they think, just sort of the casual football fans think electric offense, Jaden Daniels, blah, blah, blah. And you don't necessarily associate Tampa with elite offense, but that would be a mistake. According to Mike Sando of The Athletic, the Bucs are the only offense since at least 2000 to have met or exceeded the following metrics. They've scored over 28 points per game. They've averaged over 6-point yards per play. They've converted over 65% of their red zone trips to touchdowns, and they've converted over 50% of their third downs. So those are great stats. As far as Mike Sando could tell, they're the only team in a quarter century to do that.
Crazy. And they're playing a terrible defense today.
And they're playing a terrible defense. So, don't sleep on how elite Tampa's offense is, just because the guys playing on that offense may not be, superstar everyday, names and households, because they are really humming right now. So, bet against them. But
that's tough.
At your own peril.
That stat just changed me.
Right.
Great
Okay.
analysis, man.
Let's we got some more games to get to. I think we also have a little bit of ads to get through as well.
My pillow. I mean, Mitch asked me earlier. You moved into Washington, partially. We got a lot of stuff, but this is incredible. Ann and I save probably $2,000 by going to My Pillow. We had everything shipped directly there. You can't believe what we ordered off of My Pillow. First of all, we ordered all the towels, all the kitchen towels, right? So we got that done. We ordered 2 beds. We ordered a king size mattress. We ordered a full size mattress when Joe or any of our guests come over. We ordered the bed frames for My Pillow. So we get the bed. We ordered the mattress toppers, the blankets, the down comforter. We ordered all this, got shipped it direct. Never had to buy a bed. Never had to go shopping for that. It all came direct. You got the bed. Oh, the Giza sheets. We got those. We got it all from My Pillow, and estimated we saved $2,000. Got the best mattresses, best beds. Oh, and we ordered the pillows, right? We ordered 6 of those. The pillowcases, all online, all at My Pillow, all saving thousands of dollars. And so I tell you what, whatever your needs are. Also, we ordered another pair of slippers for me and Aunt. So when we go up there, we're not, shipping ours back. So we got those, all this online, all this by going to mypillow.com. Mypillow.com is the greatest sale ever. You're going to save so much money. And you got the great products. Mypillow.com/Godzilla, promo code Godzilla. You're going to save thousands of dollars. Money back guarantee right to the end of March. He's got the greatest sales going on now. Pillow, $14.98. We got 6 of those. I mean, I also ordered my socks, shipped them, so I don't have to bring my socks. Just like the most unbelievable online store in the history of the world, and you just save thousands of dollars, or depending on what you buy, hundreds of dollars, or some money back guarantee. All the things are there. Promo code Godzilla. You got to put in promo code Godzilla, mypillow.com/Godzilla, promo code Godzilla. Get those Giza sheets, get the pillows. You're going to save so much money. It's all fantastic. mypillow.com, promo code Godzilla. You're good to go.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm intrigued by the My Gummies over here.
Yeah, I was just looking at that.
What
What's
is
going on
that?
with My Coffee and My Gummies? Why can't we get sponsored by that?
Is it melatonin or something more fun? Come on, what's going on over there?
What's going on with those gummies? All right. Eagles, Packers. Eagles are at the moment a 4.5-point favorite. Totals 45.5. I think we're still kind of waiting on firm updates for Jalen Hurts, but it appears as though he's trending like he's going to play. I don't know if there's been a formal announcement yet.
He practiced, so he should. Yeah, I think he's playing. He was out there practicing right on Thursday.
You know, it could have a little rust. Jordan Love is also not like the picture of health right now. So, you know, it's a couple of kind of banged up quarterbacks that had pretty high hopes for the playoff run, but neither of them are totally healthy. What are we making of this game? I mean, I still think the Eagles have a pretty clear path to the Super Bowl, but so I might not be betting on this game. I might just let those futures ride. But what do you guys
I think this is the toughest game on the card. And here's the problem. I haven't believed in the Eagles all season, and it's cost me a lot of money, right? So I'm not a believer. Lose. Account goes down. Bet hockey, make it back up, then bet against the Eagles, lose it back like an idiot. I'm done with that, okay? I mean, I'm stubborn, but I'm not stupid. So I'm done betting it against Philadelphia. I'm just done with the whole thing. I don't know how good this team is. I've not been a believer. Now I am, as my wallet got lighter. So I'm going to go with the Eagles here. You know, if the Packers win, fine. What the hell? I can't win a bet on them anyway. So screw it. I'm going to lay the 5.5 with the Eagle. We don't know how good this team is, but they seem to be getting better every single week, guys.
Yeah, if you blow out a team with Kenny Pickett as your quarterback, you're probably
exactly.
You're probably a pretty darn good team. This game was close to being like Malik Willis versus Kenny Pickett because Love still they haven't really said he's playing yet. I imagine he will. That injury to Christian Watson, the torn ACL, that's a huge deal. And Green Bay's lost a couple in a row. It's kind of like, you know, not as bad as the Steelers, but you know, when you have that kind of momentum rolling into, you know, one of the toughest teams in the NFL, especially if they have Jalen Hurts going. I think the Eagles roll here. I really do. And I think, you know, with Nate's future pick gets a little bit better as of today. Yeah, so I'm going to load up the Eagles heavy on this game. I just think the injuries are too much for Green Bay right now, and Love won't be 100% if he's playing.
Dad is just the picture of betting health here, just being like, screw it. Just take the who cares? If I lose, I lose. All I do is lose anyway. The money's not real. So
yeah, it's real. Damn right it's real.
Yeah. It doesn't sound real.
It's pretty real after a while if you keep just throwing it.
I keep betting against Philadelphia week after week after week. I keep because I'm just stubborn. It's like, oh, they're not that good. They're not that good. And then, oh, hey, John, yeah, they're really good. And you're basically an idiot. So that's it.
Yeah, it seems like you're doing great emotionally here. 1-800-bets off, Dad. I like
1-800 call John.
I like the Eagles -4.5. I mean, yeah, I don't have anything else to say. We covered it.
It's
I
up
mean, the
to
Eagles
5.5. Just went up to 5.5.
I'll take it. I'll take it at 5.5.
Yeah, and I mean, for those of you that are looking for creative ways to do stuff, I mean, I think that I'll probably just be betting the Eagles to win the NFC Championship. They're a little over 3-1 right now, plus 325 at most places. So, you know, if you like the Eagles, you may as well make a little sprinkle on them to get through to the NFC Championship game and win. So, okay, last game on the schedule. Last one, Rams, Vikings. Two teams that are, I mean, I think I'm sort of surprised that both of them made it here, to be quite honest with you. Thought the Vikings might be okay, but we thought it would be with a different quarterback, and the Rams are just do weird Rams stuff. Minnesota Vikings are 14-3. They are a 1.5-point road favorite over the Los Angeles Rams, who are coming into this at 10-7. I mean, we know what Sean McVay is as a playoff coach and as sort of just like a one-game winner-go-home coach. He's usually excellent. the Vikings are a little bit less of a known quantity in this sort of spot. The Vikings for years have sort of put together these teams that have looked really good and then sort of faded pretty quickly. Is this the year that the Vikings get over the hump and, finally make some noise?
Well, the best line of the day, Nate, you just had, which is, well, the Rams do weird Ram stuff. That really defines this whole game. So it's should have been a home game for LA because of the fire. They have to move to Phoenix, and there'll be probably more Vikings fans there than there are Rams fans. So that's sad. And so the Vikings kind of get a bye here instead of going into LA. They go to Phoenix. And I get all the emotion that Jack said earlier. It makes me hesitant because I get all the LA emotion and the horror story that so many people are homeless there and lost everything. It's so bad and people have died. But Minnesota's a better football team. And so every time I look at the Rams, I'm like, well, let me take a shot with McVay in 3. I'm like, Minnesota's just a better football team. They came within a game of having home field advantage. So, and they're in a neutral site where over half the fans are going to be purple. As much as I'd love to go with the Rams emotionally, Vikings are a better football team. I'm going to lay the 3.
Yeah. So the Phoenix thing is interesting. I live here. I'm not. There's no Rams fans that I've ever seen. There's no Vikings fans. The funny thing about Phoenix is like the people love the Cardinals. I guess that makes sense, but if you don't live in Phoenix, you're kind of just like, what, Arizona? Like
exists, yeah.
Yeah, but no, they do. And I listen to the local guys complain about Kyler Murray every single week. So trust me, they love the Cardinals. You can get tickets for this game for $100. Way up, of course. But for a wild card game, the tickets are pretty cheap. So I'm sure they're trying to fill these seats fast. It should be kind of an interesting just atmosphere, just in general here in Phoenix or Glendale. Glendale is where they play out there in the suburbs. So we'll see. I like the Rams. I like the Rams because I think they're playing for the city. Same thing with the Chargers, even more so with the Rams, who I feel like have a little bit more of a connection to that city. And I'm not betting against Sean McVay in the playoffs. Like not right now, not against a Vikings team that I don't really trust that much. I think the Rams probably win this game fairly easily. And then we see, we'll see what happens. But the NFC is pretty wide open, just kind of in general. So, you never know with the Rams. You never know with Sean McVay. He's too unpredictable. And it's sort of like Sean Payton, but on steroids. Like this guy these playoff games, man. He's so good at winning these games, and he's got this extra motivation. Both him and Harbaugh, I think, are good enough coaches to have their team focused on the fact that they're playing for something bigger than just a wild card game right now. And I think the Vikings probably lose this game. It is it's very nice here in Phoenix, so the weather shouldn't be a problem. It's a little cold. There was a freeze warning, or something. I don't know. I didn't know they got freeze warnings here in Arizona, but they do. But it's not that cold. So
delayed the tea time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
65 degrees.
A little frost delay. You know what? No, and again, I know the storyline, but I think it's a big deal that they're not playing at home. And Minnesota, obviously is everybody's saying, hey, we need to reseed. I'm not for that. I think you should win your division. If you win your division, you get rewarded for it. So I think they're in the spot where they deserve to be. But Kevin O'Connell is off that McVay tree, and he's got a better team. He doesn't have the better quarterback probably, but he's got a better team. And I think that's a big deal too. He knows McVay's quirks, his Rams weirdness, whatever you want. He knows what McVay's going to try to do here. And I know the Rams won 9 out of 11 out of their bye, but they only average 21 points a game, worst in the playoffs. They give up 350 yards a game, second worst of any team in the playoffs. But they do know how to win. I don't think that's going to be enough. I think Sam Darnold has a bounce back. So we're talking about him like we were talking about him a month ago. I know it's waned down a lot your last couple of weeks, but I think Sam Darnold has a big day. But Kevin O'Connell from that McVay tree, with a better team, is going to be able to overpower his old coach.
I guess what gives me pause with the Vikings is like Sam Darnold had a very big game last week. Biggest game of the season for him. And he came out and had the worst game of the season for himself. Like he played horribly. And I think that like, I don't know how that's not a little scary. Like, yeah, you were going to make the playoffs already, but you really wanted to win the division. And you come out in a meaningful game, one of the only meaningful games on Sunday, and you just completely lay an egg. And then you expect 1 week later to come out and suddenly play an awesome game. Like, I don't know if he's going to have that type of confidence where he's just going to come out and say like, oh yeah, like now that I'm in an even bigger game than last week, like I can come out and just perform to the utmost after what we saw from him a week ago. So, I mean, that gives me pause for the Vikings for sure. And, I mean, to speak to the Rams stuff, Sean McVay was so focused on this week that he didn't even call plays last week in their game because it was meaningless. He had already been prepping.
Yeah,
he gave the play calling duties to Mike LaFleur and was like, I'm just going to keep working on other stuff for next week. So he's been planning this for multiple weeks already. Like, it's not like he's just got 1 week to draw up wrinkles. He's been thinking about this for 2 weeks.
Yeah, but he didn't know who was going to play.
I mean, but still.
Yeah, but I mean,
just to be able to just dial up some weird plays. I mean, you can figure that out.
We knew it was going to be someone tough, Detroit or
Minnesota.
Minnesota.
So, I mean, from that perspective, like I'd rather have the coach that spent 2 weeks thinking about how can I create some sort of weird matchups and weird plays, regardless of if he knew or not. He's been prepping for this in ways that the Vikings haven't.
And he's beat him. He beat him this year already, right?
Yeah. So, it's going to be interesting. And I can already see, I mean, if one of these LA teams makes it, I mean, the NFL is not going to miss an opportunity there's going to be the video montages of the fires and, these teams walking out of the fires. And it's going to be this huge inspirational thing. And, I've watched sports for long enough to know that that's a real motivation too for these teams. I think that Jack's nailed that on the head. But that was our show for the week. We got Golf with Jay Delsing coming up next. He's always got a fun interview coming up. So Golf with Jay Delsing. Be sure and check us out on the socials. Check out our best bets for the weekend. We're on TikTok, X, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere that you follow your socials. Go to Godzilla Wins Big and find us. Good luck, everyone, and see you all.